hate anything that smacks of a taste for reform, but atheism especially. Atheism was only one of the reasons the world hated Julian, but none of us said that, and Julian only smiled and said, "I confess I have a taste for causing discomfiture." Sonnier laughed. "There's an understatement." He turned to me, taking my gloved hand, bending gallantly over it. "Miss Wentworth, your sister tells me the two of you had a most singular upbringing in Massachusetts, utopian farms and half raised by Emerson himself. It's quite astounding." "You said you didn't believe it," Louisa teased. "I don't," he said, "but if your sister tells me it's true, I suppose I'll have no choice." "You'd believe her over me?" "She has a more honest face. I hope that's no illusion, Miss Wentworth." His attention was a force, like standing next to a too-hot fire. "She's more honest than most like," Julian put in. "Is that so? How wonderfully challenging. I've forgotten what it's like to be so engaged. Bonnie and I have been left to ourselves for so long we're stagnating." Mr. Calina glanced up from mooring the boat. A flash of annoyance crossed his face, but he said nothing. "My secretary," Mr. Sonnier introduced him. "Giovanni Calina." Mr. Calina only nodded an acknowledgement and turned back to the ropes. It was not rude, though it bordered on it, and it was strangely dismissive. I wondered why. "You'll come up to the house, won't you?" Sonnier asked, starting toward a path that led up the hill. "I'm a bit disenchanted with the lake this morning." "We saw them bring up the body," Louisa said, falling into step beside him. "How awful! And right in front of your chateau. How will you ever manage not to think of it every time you look at the view?" Sonnier grimaced. "I had not thought of that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention." "What happened?" Julian asked quietly. "Do you know?" "He was hoping to catch a glimpse of me during my daily swim. Unfortunately, I'm not usually up so early." Sonnier's voice was heavy with regret. "What has you up so early today?" Louisa asked, a bit too casually probing. "I haven't slept. We were at a salon." "I suppose society here keeps you quite busy." She was smiling like a daft thing. It was so obviously desperate, but I understood. Everything depended on Bayard Sonnier now. "Busier than I like," Sonnier replied. "I came here to work." "We should not wish to keep you from it," Julian said. Bayard Sonnier said, "Nonsense. I'm looking forward to your conversation. You'll spend the day, won't you?" Louisa beamed. "Of course we will. Why wouldn't we, when I've come all this way to see you and introduce you to my family?" Julian glanced at me. I shrugged. There was nothing to do now but leave it to Louisa. I was unused to trusting her, but I'd seen no hint of overexcitement when she'd suggested this, and what other choice did we have? Even if Bayard's invitation were the delusion I suspected, we were no worse off than we'd been in London, crawling as it was with bailiffs, arrest warrants for debt in hand. Not only that, but we'd been unwelcome even in the homes of Julian's oldest friends. Society, it seemed, was not ready to accept our philosophies, and then, of course, to make everything worse, there had been Emily and the hell of Venice. We were exiles, snubbed and reviled. His father had disowned him and would not even speak my name. Cain in the Garden had not brought the funds we'd hoped, but only more notoriety. Bayard Sonnier was our last hope, and we had nowhere else to go. With any luck, Julian could gain Bayard's friendship and his patronage. Certainly Julian's charm was compelling to those who did not have to live with it. The path was steep and tortuous as it wound its way upward through the vineyards. I lifted my skirts to keep them from dragging on the mist-dampened dust. Lizards scrambled into hiding as I passed. The curling tendrils of the vines clung to my sleeves. Broad leaves sheltered clusters of tiny yellowish nubs and thread-like flowers. The air smelled of dust and grass, along with something sweetly ephemeral, unripe melon, perhaps, or pears. Underlying all was the pervasive, not unpleasant stench of ordure. The Villa Diodati stayed hidden